The sound of keys clattered sharply. Didn't fit. Rachel Porter stood frozen before the blue-painted door in the Portland suburbs. A different lock. Newer, colder, as if the house had changed owners in just 3 days since she took her 2 kids to visit their aunt in Eugene. "Mom, why aren't we going in?" 10-year-old Lily tugged her sleeve. 7-year-old Noah pressed his face against the glass panel. "There's someone inside our house." The door swung open. A tattooed man in a grimy tank top stood with his hands on his hips, like the place belonged to him. Behind him, a bleached-haired woman curled her lip, a half-burned cigarette dangling. "Can I help you?" he drawled. "This is my house." Rachel held out her driver's license, utility bills, family photo taken in the living room just last week. He shrugged. "We rented it 2 weeks ago." "Got papers?" 30 minutes later, 2 officers arrived. They checked Rachel's documents, her name, this address, then looked at the lease in the stranger's hand. Signatures, dates, a notary stamp. "I believe you," the older officer said, "but this is a civil matter. We can't enforce it." The word civil dropped like a stone. The strangers sneered. "Your stuff's in the backyard." Black trash bags ripped open. Her mother's blanket was streaked with dirt. A framed photo of her late father, a veteran, bent at the corner. Lily burst into tears. Noah shivered. "Where are we going to sleep, Mom?" Night fell over Portland. In their old minivan parked 3 blocks away, the 2 kids curled beneath jackets. Under the glow of her phone, Rachel hit record. "My name is Rachel Porter, and today someone stole my home." Before everything fell apart, this house was a map of memories for Rachel. She worked the day shift at a print shop near the Willamette River, came home at night to help Lily with math and build Lego sets with Noah. Her father, James Porter, an Oregon National Guard veteran, had passed away 4 years earlier, leaving behind the little house and a reminder. You're never alone. Good will find good. Rachel kept the old patch of a biker club that once sheltered at their garage during a snowstorm, tucked inside her father's wooden box, a keepsake she had nearly forgotten. At 28, she was slender, hair tied neatly, her denim jacket often smelling faintly of ink. Her morning ritual: brew coffee, line up 3 chipped mugs so the kids could fight over which one to pick. At night, she checked the locks. Then tapped the photo frame of her dad. Those tiny details made the house feel like a friend, something she thought no one could take away. Lily loved drawing whales, writing in a purple ink diary, and carrying a notebook plastered with rainbow stickers. Noah adored the sound of engines. He could guess a car brand just by the passing hum. The 3 of them biked to Selwood Park, ate waffles from a food truck on NE 28th. A simple, orderly life. But to the kids, it was a safe universe. Before heading to Eugene, Rachel had double-locked the door. She never imagined she'd return to a strange lock, scattered belongings, and strangers calling her an intruder. It wasn't just losing a roof. It was a stab at her dignity, at her father's creed that good will find good. That night, with rain tapping softly on the minivan roof, Rachel opened Facebook, switched on the camera, and told her story. No script, no makeup, just a trembling mother trying to stay calm for her kids. Rachel's shaky clip, filmed in the dark of her minivan, spread faster than she ever expected. From Portland neighbors to bigger groups, a legal subreddit, and an advocacy page. Comments flooded in. "I'm a lawyer. Message me." "How is this even legal?" "Send to coin 6. By 2:47 a.m., notifications blanketed her screen. One message made her pause. "Dean Mallory, Timberwolves MC, Portland. What's the address?" Profile picture. a bearded man standing beside a line of motorcycles. In a riverside warehouse, Dean flipped through an old album. A blizzard, bikers soaked and shivering, warming up in someone's garage. Behind them, a man in uniform smiling, James Porter. 17 years ago, that man had opened his garage, made soup, and laid out blankets. When Dean tried to pay, he only said, "Help someone else someday." Dean typed, "Emergency meet 7 a.m. If you can ride, ride. Time to repay." At 7 a.m., timber wolves gathered. "We're not criminals," Dean said. "We do this clean, loud, and legal. Let those squatters know they picked the wrong house." Maria Torres, vice president, former paralegal, held up her tablet. "I checked property records and taxes. Rachel's the rightful owner. We'll film, document, and stay on public ground." "Juice," their media guy nodded. "Social's on me." The room echoed. "Ride." That morning, Rachel took her kids to the legal aid office on SW 10th. The attorney was blunt. "Bad news. Process takes 6-12 weeks. Good. We can file now and alert the DA about forged contracts." She nodded, clutching the stack of papers like a lifeline in a whirlpool. Back on her street, Rachel braked hard. More than a dozen motorcycles lined up neatly. Men and women in leather vests with wolf emblems moved across the lawn, orderly, deliberate, like a rescue team. Dean stepped forward, eyes kind. "Rachel Porter, I'm Dean Mallory, Timberwolves. Your father helped us once, in a storm. Now it's our turn." The police said, "We won't break the law," Dean replied calmly. "We'll stay outside, record everything, make truth too visible to ignore." Mariah showed her screen. Property tax files, deed in Rachel's name, the lease smudged and fake. A news van parked at the corner. From the porch, the squatters glanced down, faces paling. "Mom, are they the good guys?" Lily asked. Rachel watched the bikers gently pick family photos from the mud, wipe them clean, and place them in a box. "Yes, honey," she whispered. They are. By late afternoon, tension climbed. But order held. Timberwolves never crossed the sidewalk line. They set up cameras, marked timestamps, preserved evidence, tossed furniture, blaring music, insults hurled at the kids. Juice kept posting. Media crews rolled in. On the porch, the tattooed man, Kyle, fumbled under the spotlight. At 6:15 p.m., the bleached-haired woman, Tina, kicked over Lily's bike on purpose. Maria lifted her phone. "Property damage. Recorded." At 7 p.m., the house speakers blasted a deafening noise. Dean called the police. When officers arrived, Kyle tore up his receipt, only for them to hand over a replacement. Everything was on camera. At 9 p.m., Attorney Jen arrived. "The DA's watching this now," she said. "Emergency hearing Friday morning. Be ready." Just as she finished, the upstairs window slammed open. A ceramic urn, Rachel's father's ashes, crashed onto the porch. Ashes drifted thin as dusk smoke. Rachel collapsed, her children kneeling beside her. The Timberwolves closed ranks, forming a circle. Dean gripped her shoulders. "They want you angry, arrested. Don't give them that." Maria called out, "Desecration of remains. Felony." Night deepened. Dean sent an urgent text to all chapters. 6 a.m. tomorrow. Oak Valley Drive, Portland. Bring full colors. Replies streamed in. Eugene Rolling, Salem, 25 bikes. Bend, 30. Astoria, riding through the night. 5:50 a.m. At first, a distant rumble, then windows trembling. Along Oak Valley Drive, motorcycles poured in. Choppers, cruisers, tourers, American flags billowing through fog. Timberwolves Portland in front, followed by Eugene, Salem, Bend, and the coastal crew. 30, 50, 100. Then more than 300 bikes stood in formation. Dean climbed onto a pickup bed. "I'm Dean Mallory, president of Timberwolves Portland. 17 years ago, veteran James Porter, the man who owned this house, opened his garage and saved us during a storm. His daughter Rachel is the rightful owner. 3 days ago, fraudsters forged papers, threw her children's belongings into the mud, and last night, they defiled his ashes." A low growl rippled through the crowd. "We're not here for violence. We're here so no one can look away. Cameras, witnesses, the law." Patrol cars pulled in. Officer Martinez nodded to Dean. "Stay peaceful. Stay on the curb. You're legal." Then turned to Rachel. 9:30 a.m., the court will hold the emergency hearing." He lowered his voice. "What I've seen today restores my faith." Inside the house, Kyle yanked the curtains shut, pale as chalk. Tina stuffed bags. Derek tried sneaking out the back with 2 duffels, only to meet a wall of leather jackets. "You can leave," Dean said evenly, "but those bags aren't yours." Maria held up photos, MacBook serial numbers, school labels, and the old radio of James Porter. Derek dropped the bags, stepped back. At 9 a.m., Jen signaled. A line of motorcycles escorted Rachel's minivan to court. The rest stood in formation, a wall of honor. News helicopters circled above. Hashtags Tachak Home for Rachel and Chochuator Oregon Rides for Justice hit local trending. All of Portland turned its eyes to one small street, where the silence of hundreds weighed like a gavel strike. The morning hearing was swift and sharp. Judge Richardson flipped through files, compared utility bills, taxes, and family photos. The tenant rights argument Kyle's lawyer clung to crumbled under solid evidence. The prosecution added one more blow. A fake notary seal, a non-existent property manager. Gavel struck. Full ownership restored to Rachel Porter. Eviction by 14 Oquaxt, county police to assist enforcement. At 11:40 a.m., the convoy rolled back onto Oak Valley Drive. Dean stood on the porch, Rachel's porch, holding the court order. Kyle opened the door, eyes hollow. "You have until 14 Hosog," Dean said. Tina dragged a suitcase down the steps. Derek carried a lamp. Mariah cleared her throat. He set it back down. Hundreds of bikers watched silently, eyes tracking every step out of the house. No one shouted. Silence itself was the verdict. At 1:47 p.m., their car turned the corner. A cheer rose, then hushed. Dean raised his hand. "Not done yet." A volunteer locksmith replaced the lock. "Go home," Dean said. Rachel turned the key. The air smelled damp. Furniture overturned, scratches on the walls, the scars of invasion. She swallowed hard. "We're not stopping here." Maria tied up her hair. A stream of people poured in. A cleaning crew, painters, glaziers, and a truck of furniture donated by Louise's store. Buckets, rollers, vacuums, and laughter. Rod, a builder of 20 years, fixed the windows, sealed the gaps. Outside, someone mowed the lawn, and another replanted lavender. By 3 p.m., the house was breathing again. Kitchen shining, wood floors glowing honey gold. Noah's room back in place. Posters, books, Legos rebuilt. Lily's room is dressed in new sheets, string lights. She hugged her stuffed bunny, washed, stitched, tied with a pink bow. "Miss Jackie fixed it for you," Jackie winked. Rachel stood in the garage, her father's workshop, where tools sat neatly in rows. Dean handed her an old patch embroidered with James Porter, honorary Timberwolf. "We made this back then," he said. "Never got to give it." Dean hammered a nail on the workshop frame, hung the patch at eye level. The afternoon sun slanted through, the silver threads glinting like a promise. Outside, neighbors brought cookies. Kids waved. The long day, like a final storm, finally stilled. Inside her chest, the word home found its voice again. Some days, justice doesn't come from marble halls. It stands quietly on a sidewalk. They didn't shove or shout. They just opened their cameras, opened their courage, and forced the world to look. Rachel got her home back, but what she held tighter was her father's old belief. Good will find good. It's not a slogan. It needs someone to reach first. The Timberwolves didn't replace the law. They lit the path so the law could move faster. They fixed a broken window and mended an invisible tear in the community when people began asking, "What would I do if I were there?" The answer often is simply, stand there the right way. A home can be 4 walls or a circle of people when you fall. That day in Portland, an old patch hanging by the workshop door wasn't just a symbol of gratitude. It marked the path of kindness. From one garage opened in a snowstorm to a street lined with flags at dawn. If this story touched you, please like, share, and subscribe so more people can believe that kindness still finds its way. Have you ever witnessed a circle of people like the Timberwolves, where someone simply stood their ground and did the right thing? Tell us in the comments. What would you do if your neighbor needed a wall that stands steady like that? Who knows? Your story might be the light someone needs tomorrow.